Time Warner Cable is pleased to be an underwriting sponsor for Carolina Week.
Coming up on the April 9th edition of Carolina Week.
Has Chapel Hill safety improved in the past month? I'm Erin Franklin. I'll have a live report.
2 suspects are in custody without bond. We'll explain just what that means.
In sports, Carolina pitching is doing well, but where are the bats?
Weathercaster Katie Costa will tell us if rain will dampen our weekend plans.
All of that, and could an agricultural woe cost you more at the bar? Carolina Week starts right now.
From the James F. Goodman Studio in the School of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, connecting campus and community, this is Carolina Week.
Hello and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Carolina Week. I'm Sarah Huffman.
And I'm Adam Rue. Thank you for joining us. Nighttime security is on all of our minds right now. Carolina Week's Erin Franklin live in the newsroom with what local businesses are doing to keep you safe.
Adam, it's been less than a month since the murder of student body president Eve Carson, and Chapel Hill business owners are hoping that small efforts to increase safety will have a big impact.
With the brand new people we just installed.
2 days after we heard about Eve's murder, Spanky's restaurant manager Gavin Toth decided to make his restaurant safer.
We increased security by adding peepholes to both of our back doors, and also we now keep them locked pretty much 24/7. And we added a doorbell so that delivery men can ring the doorbell and we can let them in and know who they are.
UNC junior and Spanky's waitress Jessica Geis says increased security puts her at ease.
It's nice when the people that you work for make sure that you're safe. It just makes you feel better about the place you work in.
Safety isn't only a concern inside businesses on Franklin Street. The walk home is when Geis feels at risk.
Well, working at a restaurant, you get off really late sometimes, and so leaving the restaurant out the back alley is kind of scary.
Hey, how are you today, sir?
Police have not increased the number of officers on patrol on Franklin Street, but Officer Chris King says the department's making strides to better communicate with downtown businesses.
We've sent out a lot of emails to local merchants. We're trying to go through outreach programs, trying to go through the internet and just let people know, if you have anything, report it to us. And we're trying to get out in the community the best we can.
King says another crime like Carson's murder could happen again.
We can't be everywhere at once, unfortunately, and stuff that happens, random crimes, could happen anywhere.
But to try to prevent future crimes, downtown businesses are hiring off-duty officers to make residents and employees feel safer. Officer King says the streets are as safe now as they've ever been, but he says there's no way to guarantee anyone's safety. We all have to be cautious at all times.
All right, Erin Franklin live in the newsroom, thank you. It brings us now to a follow-up to a story we brought you on Monday. Mixed opinions about a proposal to add emergency call boxes to some downtown neighborhoods. The plan would add 3 police call boxes like this one to off-campus areas popular with students. UNC student government is donating $80,000 of student fees to the town for the plan. But in an information session last night, a small group of downtown residents fired questions at police and its student government reps about whether the plan is worthwhile. Some folks say the boxes are unnecessary and are a waste of money. The call boxes are currently proposed for the intersection of Ransom and Macaulay Streets, at Church and Short Streets, and on Millette Street at Cameron Court. The town council has the final say about where the blue lights will go, so it's possible that some could go elsewhere. Chapel Hill police are working to solve 3 overnight armed robberies. All the victims say they were approached in parking lots by 2 men, one of whom had a handgun. The suspects are described as 2 black men between 17 and 19 years old, between 6 feet and 6 feet 4 inches tall, wearing black shirts and black pants. If you have any information, you can call Crime Stoppers at 942-7515.
We all want bad guys off the streets, but most of us don't know a lot about how the system works. Our Garrett Barosian takes a look at how bonds get set in capital cases.
The rationale behind bonds and how they're set in our criminal justice system aren't everyday topics of discussion, but students do have strong opinions about bonds in certain cases.
I definitely feel that the bond should increase depending on the criminal act.
I don't feel that necessarily someone who has been deemed a danger to society should be released back on any amount of bond or any dollar amount as far as that goes.
In North Carolina, one is considered an adult for criminal court purposes at the age of 16. Those younger than 18 won't receive the death penalty for a capital crime. In this case, Lawrence Lovett Jr. is 17, with a maximum possible penalty of life imprisonment for the offense he's accused of. Orange County Assistant District Attorney Jeff Neiman says a judge has lots to consider when determining a dollar amount for bond in cases like this.
Those factors generally include the seriousness of the offense, the weight of the state's evidence against the defendant for that offense, and the risk of flight of the defendant if the person is released.
It's been a little more than a month since the murder of student body president Eve Carson. Officials are holding Lawrence Lovett Jr. and Demario Atwater without bond in Orange County because they're considered a potential threat to society. But Neiman says it's important to remember one thing at this point in the case.
Both Lovett and Atwater are presumed innocent by the court, and the setting of a bond is not, at this point, a finding of guilt.
But it's an indication that there's reason for law enforcement and the courts to keep the accused locked up, especially in cases when there's no bond. In Chapel Hill, I'm Garrett Barogin, Carolina Week.
Atwater will be back in court on Monday. Lovett will have a pretrial hearing on the 24th. Duke University has created a fellowship to honor slain graduate student Abhijit Mahato. President Richard Broadhead announced the decision in a meeting with leaders of the local Indian community. The Abhijit Mahato Memorial Fellowship will help an international Duke graduate engineering student financially, and committee members will give preference to candidates from Mahato's native country of India. Lawrence Alvin Lovett Jr. is a suspect in both Mahato's and Eve Carson's murders.
After a week of rain, lakes and reservoirs across the Triangle are filling up. City officials in Raleigh ended Stage 2 water restrictions Monday morning, allowing residents to finally wash their cars and run their sprinklers once a week. Officials have opened University Lake to public recreation, but it and Chapel Hill's two other water sources, Cane Creek Reservoir and the Quarry Reservoir, are collectively still only at 69% of their capacity. But that is up 10 percentage points from a week ago. Chapel Hill's three lakes hold 2.5 billion gallons of water, and authorities estimate that will last 402 days, even if we don't have any measurable rainfall. The Orange Water and Sewer Authority plans to meet tomorrow night to discuss the county's water restrictions. North Carolina Hillel is sponsoring this year's Holocaust Remembrance Week. The event's kicked off with Speaker Jay Ibsen.
Are things like the Holocaust happening today? Yes. Absolutely.
The Holocaust survivor spoke to interested students Monday night at Greenlaw Hall. Ibsen talked about being forced into a Lithuanian ghetto when he was only 6 years old. He recounted the discrimination his family felt and their incredible escape in which they hid underground for 6 months. UNC junior Rachel Goldhaber thinks Ibsen's message is still important.
It's just really important to remember the victims and even the survivors so that this doesn't happen again. We can help stop Darfur and other possible genocides.
There's a vigil for all victims of genocide Thursday at 9 p.m. in the pit. Well, we all know you just can't prevent some illnesses because they're built into your genes.
Coming up, one UNC scientist uncovers the molecular mystery behind cystic fibrosis.
Immunizations are not just for kids. No matter your state of health, your age, or how you spend your day, you're at risk for serious disease if your immunizations are not up to date. Take the time to visit your health professional and find out which vaccines you need. Immunization saves lives. One of them might be yours. For more information, visit vaccineinformation.org.
See what a 10% weight loss can do for you.
1,000 people in the United States suffer from a chronic disease called cystic fibrosis. Cystic fibrosis patients have trouble breathing and digesting food. Scientists know genetic defects cause the disease. Carolina Week reporter Prashant Nair has more.
11-year-old Megan Willis of Carrboro was born with cystic fibrosis. Megan has spent her entire life undergoing treatments and visiting doctors.
She has a lot of digestion issues. She takes medication that helps her digest her food. Her body cannot break down fat or proteins.
That's because Megan has a mutation in one protein that prevents the buildup of sticky mucus in the lungs and pancreas. UNC scientist Nikolai Dokolyan wondered how missing a small part of the giant protein could cause the disease.
If you perturb that structure, function can be destroyed. The perturbation is a genetic mutation.
This is a magnified view of a portion of the protein that causes the problems in cystic fibrosis. The normal protein has an amino acid here that allows the protein to prevent the buildup of mucus in the lungs. But in the mutant protein, that amino acid is missing. Dokolyan used computer modeling to nail down the effect of the mutation. He found that the missing amino acid causes the mutant protein to fold in an abnormal way, and that eventually leads to the buildup of mucus. Dokolyan's findings may not produce a drug to cure Megan's condition in the next decade, but it's a first step. But Megan isn't waiting, says her mother.
She is got a fantastic personality. She's an extrovert. She's a happy-go-lucky. She rolls with the punches, and that really makes things so much easier.
My family is always very comforting, well, except for my sister, because she's always like,
Megan's mother says that she believes that science will one day find a drug to correct the defect. In Chapel Hill, I'm Prashant Nair, Carolina Week.
The UNC Cystic Fibrosis Treatment Center is one of the largest in the country, treating more than 500 patients each year. Alzheimer's is a degenerative brain disease that primarily strikes the elderly population, leaving them with memory loss and dementia. Scientists say coffee might reduce the effects of Alzheimer's disease. So not only will your favorite morning brew get you through the day, it might actually help you to remember it. Deceased mice that drank the human daily equivalent of 5 cups of coffee performed better on memory tests than their non-caffeinated counterparts did. This suggests that caffeine reduces and might even reverse the damaging effects of the disease.
Alzheimer's is just one of many diseases that 2 Chapel Hill physicians are hoping to prevent. Doctors Patrick Gutierrez and Jeffrey Furman of Chapel Hill Family Medicine will change to a practice that focuses on preventative health and patient care. The doctors will be the first in the state to do so. They'll require a $1,500 yearly fee for an annual comprehensive exam that focuses on prevention instead of on reaction. To compensate for high practice costs, they say they'll be seeing fewer patients in their practice. A new program will help more UNC graduates become science teachers in North Carolina. Starting in the fall, biology and physics majors will be able to earn a teaching license while completing their science degrees. Before, students interested in teaching would have to get their licenses after graduation. The new program is called UNC Best.
When you hear the phrase self-serve wash, you typically think of a car wash. But at this unique business, you can self-wash your dog. Max's Dog Wash and Snack Shack is a dog grooming business that, for $8 to $18, gives customers the option of washing their dogs themselves. They supply everything you need for your doggy bath with the convenience of not having to clean up the mess after you're done. Owner Carrie Griffin gives us another, more heartfelt reason why people choose the self-wash option.
I think it's a really good bonding experience for people and their dogs. Just to hang out and, do the brushing and the washing and all that.
Griffin suggests that if you plan to come in on a Saturday, call ahead because there's usually a line to wash your pup.
Sounds like a bunch of very happy dogs.
Yes.
We're joined now by weathercaster Katie Costa.
Well, Katie, we've had a week of clouds. It's so nice to finally see the sun again.
Absolutely. We're seeing some sunshine, but a change is on the way for your weekend. My forecast is next.
Hey, there are a lot
of ways we can help our community. Spending our money in Orange County, whether it's filling up the car or shopping at local businesses, helps maintain our roads, improves our children's schools, and creates jobs.
Spending your money locally helps us all in a big way. So remember, shop Orange first.
When you shop in Orange County, your money comes back to you.
Thank you for shopping Orange.
So shop Orange and see what a difference you can make.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm weather forecaster Katie Costa. Well, today we saw a fairly decent day. It was warmer than yesterday, and we will continue to see a warm up over the next couple of days. It's expected to be in the upper 70s tomorrow and almost 80 degrees on Friday. And we will be seeing more sunshine over the next couple of days than what we've been seeing in the beginning of this week. But unfortunately, we will be seeing a stormy weekend as storms pass through on Saturday into our region. So just be sure to be on the lookout for that. Now, if we take a look at the U.S. satellite and radar, we see that on the eastern part of the U.S., there's really not much going on. But out to the Midwest, particularly in northern Texas and in Oklahoma, these folks are experiencing some severe weather and storms, and specifically heavy rainfall. These yellow parts on the radar indicate where the heaviest rainfall is occurring. Also, over parts of Arkansas, these folks are experiencing some severe weather as well. Now, if we zoom in closer to our region, into the southeast satellite and radar, we see that over North Carolina, there's really not much going on, just a few patchy clouds. But to our west, we do see that those storms are occurring, but those will stay north and west of us. If we take a look at the current surface map, we see that there is high pressure that is sent in over the Carolinas, and that's what's keeping us pretty clear and dry right now. Now, further west, there is this low pressure that is over Texas, and that is what's bringing those folks that severe weather. By Thursday, we see that this low, if we look into Thursday, we see that this low will be moving closer to the east coast, bringing this rain and storms with it. And by Friday, this low will just be west of the Carolinas. So be sure to get outdoors and enjoy Friday while you can, because these storms will be here on Saturday morning. Now, if you're planning on heading to the mountains this weekend, it is going to be rainy and cooler. High of 62 on Saturday, high of 50 on Sunday, and a low of 40. So be sure to have rain gear packed with you and a nice light jacket, because you're going to need it. And if you're planning on heading east to the beaches, it's going to be warmer there, high of 77 on Saturday, but we do have those chance of storms, so be sure to use caution on the roads if you're planning on heading east this weekend. And on Sunday, it will be slightly cooler but sunny, so it's probably the best day to get out on the beach and enjoy the sun. And a low of 54. And for our region, for our 4-day forecast, we see that we will be seeing sunshine over tomorrow and Friday and warmer temperatures. But on Saturday, we do have those chance of thunderstorms, so be sure to use caution on the roads if you're planning on heading out then. And it will be slightly cooler on Sunday, and lows will be in the 50s. So guys, it looks like the best day to get outdoors and take advantage of the warm weather would be tomorrow and Friday.
I'm really looking forward to that. In between all this spring rain, I try to get outside as much as I can.
Yeah, it's the perfect time to do it.
Definitely is.
Katie, thank you.
You're welcome.
The hopes for a national championship are over for the UNC basketball teams, but for one varsity sports team, the dream of a national championship is just turns, leaps, and jumps away. The UNC dance team travels to Daytona Beach today to compete in the Collegiate Dance Nationals. This footage, taken from last year's competition, shows the dance team performing a little something different than what you're used to seeing at basketball games. This year, the dance team hopes to bring home its first national title.
And now we're joined by sportscaster Walter Storholt.
Walter, it didn't take me very long after the Final Four to start looking ahead to football season. I am very excited.
No, not at all, especially with the weather. It looks like it's football season already, and we can't wait for it to see it in the fall. Coming up in sports, after a disappointing showing by our men's basketball team, it's time to move on to football. Will Butch's boys be better?
I'm sorry. I'll put that out.
Okay, guys, time for takeoff. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off! Wow! Whoa, look at that! Is that Jupiter?
Hey kids, it's time to go to the planetarium.
Moorhead Planetarium, where dreams become reality.
LaToya Pringle and Orlando Larkins are heading to Phoenix and New York respectively after being selected in today's WNBA draft. Pringle was picked 13 and Larkins immediately followed at 14. Pringle broke the career record for blocks at Carolina, and Larkins averaged 13.7 points and 6.2 rebounds per game in her career for the Tar Heels. And the Heels struck out against Elon in yet another dismal outing for the baseball team. Here's Tim Fedorovich slugging one of the Heels' 5 hits for the day. Fierce pitching and solid defensive play from both dugouts left men on base nearly every single inning. Even Carolina's best, like cleanup man Chad Showstopper Flack, couldn't get any lumber love. Here, his boomstick just barely comes up short for the homer. And despite a poor offensive showing, and sophomore diamond guru Scott Gunn says he'll always be a fan.
Elon played a good game, and it's tough to win them all, but hopefully the weather will warm up and these boys will finish off pretty good, taking into regionals. So it's just fun to get out and watch. I'd encourage everybody to come out and watch them.
Not all fans were that content with the game, especially with some questionable officiating on this game-changing play late in the 6th. Let's take a closer look. And now I might not have Spidey vision, but that definitely looks like a drop ball to me. And as you can tell, Coach Rick Fox and company did not like that one bit. The number 4 ranked Heels hope to make up their 2-0 loss to Elon when they square off against North Carolina A&T tonight at 6. And any football coach will tell you how important it is to have a consistent running game. And that's something the Tar Heels haven't had the past several seasons. But sophomore Greg Little has shown that there might be some bright spots on the way to Carolina's rushing attack. He rushed for 51 yards and 11 carries on Monday at Carolina's spring scrimmage. He did have to bounce off a few tackles, though. But using his strong upper body to his advantage, he eventually found his way into the end zone. And Little wasn't the only big story of the day. Watch sophomore Ryan Houston heading into a herd of tacklers, but spins his 255-pound frame the other direction, and then doing what all the best running backs do, falling forward at the end of the play. All in all, Carolina running backs combined for 137 yards and 3 touchdowns in the scrimmage. And after last year's disappointing football season, Butch Davis is back and hoping for better luck this year. Sarah Moore gives us a look at the contenders for quarterback in the fall.
Spring practice has just wrapped up, and competition for the coveted quarterback position continues.
I always treated it as open, whether it was or not, just competing every day. I just feel like as any player, you should treat every position as open and just, take it, one play at a time, one day at a time, and just, work for that spot.
TJ Yates injured his shoulder last season and has just been cleared to throw, but not to play. With Yates on the sidelines, that leaves Mike Paulus and Cameron Sexton to fill his shoes, with a little help, of course.
Yeah, TJ's real helpful. He does, he signals in what Coach Soup's calling, but he's also, saying if I come off the field after a drive, he'll say, hey, you had this or that, or just point things out for me to help me out, because he knows that he was in my place last year. And
Sexton says that scrimmages are an extremely important part of this process.
It's nice to get out there and just, and the thing about getting reps is you can get into the flow of it, and you can get into a rhythm, and as a quarterback, that's important, so it was nice to get some reps.
The more practice he gets, the more confident Paulus is in his ability to start as quarterback for Carolina.
I feel a lot better than I did in the scrimmage last week. I got the start last week in the scrimmage, and everything just happened just so fast. And I think after a couple days of watching the film, settling down, and just going out there and competing, I feel a lot better today than I did.
So what about the rest of the team? Who does everyone else think should start? Most are keeping tight-lipped.
Come on. I ain't really gonna get into all that, but I feel like they both performed well. They've been learning, going hard all spring, and it came out to be a good outcome for both of them.
With an entire summer of workouts ahead, there's plenty of time for Sexton and Paulus to battle it out. In Chapel Hill, I'm Sarah Moore, Carolina Week Sports.
Women's tennis traveled just down the road yesterday to take on number 7 ranked Duke. It was Duke's senior day, and number 10 Carolina faced a tough match. Tar Heel doubles pair Austin Smith and Katrina Sang picked up an impressive 8-1 victory at number 2. And Carolina's other 2 doubles pairs dropped their matches. Duke scored a pair of 8-3 wins to take the lead. Going into singles play, the Heels had to readjust their game. Sanaz Moran gave UNC its second win of the day. Moran is now 18-1 for the season and 6-1 in ACC play. Again, the Heels couldn't get another win for singles, and Duke won the match 5-2. Duke was able to score a point in the battle for the Carlisle Cup, though Carolina has a dominant lead, 15-5. Carolina will end regular season play this weekend on the road against Virginia and Virginia Tech. And guys, it's good news because Carolina, even though they lost a point in the Carlisle Cup right there, they do have an insurmountable lead this year, and UNC will take home the cup.
Gosh, nothing makes me happier than whooping up on Duke. I love to see it. I know y'all love to see it, and so that's great news.
Always good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Walter. And the numbers keep rising.
Coming up, will an expensive drink keep you from going out at night?
Recycling a glass bottle saves enough energy to run the TV you're watching for 1 full hour. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Making a can from recycled aluminum instead of from raw materials reduces air pollution by 95%. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world. Recycling all our Sunday papers would save over 500,000 trees a week. Recycle. It's the everyday way to save the world.
If you have a story idea, contact Carolina Week at 843-8292. You can also visit us online at carolinaweek.org. If you have questions about this program, write Carolina Week at Campus Box 3365, UNCCH, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, 27599.
We know that high gas prices are driving up the cost for a trip to the grocery store, but they're also driving up costs at the bar. Reporter Carly Swain explains.
The Hugh Morton Mango Lager, the Leaderboard Trophy Lager, the Old Well White.
And each of them could cost you a little bit more at the bar. The price of hops, a key ingredient in beer making, has doubled in recent weeks. Prices for malt and barley are up too. John Withy is a brewer at Top of the Hill Restaurant and Brewery. He says customers can expect house specialties to cost a bit more at many microbreweries, but not at Top of the Hill.
For Top of the Hill, it's not a problem because we've had the sense to contract each year. The people who haven't been contracting, thinking there's an endless supply of hops, are in trouble.
So for some bars, the prices are going up, but that's only a temporary change, right?
Wrong. For the past decade, there's been an oversupply of hops, and some farmers decided to plant corn instead to meet those high demands for ethanol. So that just means beer drinkers are going to have to wait out the shortage until harvest time. And your bar tab at a microbrewery across the globe isn't going to be much different.
There was a low yield in the States. Hailstorms damaged crops in Europe, and Australia had its worst drought on record. But even if prices do go up, Withy says Top of the Hill customers are loyal.
The place is vibrant. It's got a great atmosphere.
The kind of atmosphere that's worth more than 50 cents. In Chapel Hill, I'm Carly Swain, Carolina Week.
You know, that's kind of a shame because those microbreweries like Top of the Hill have really good beers.
Yeah, a lot of college students really watching this, paying attention because it could really hit home.
Yes, it could. That does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.